Hello, I want to talk a little bit about current definitions of death, specifically legal definitions of death in the United States. And I also wanted to talk about it through the lens of Michael Nair-Collins and their piece, We Die When Entropy Overwhelms Homeostasis. First, I want to talk a little bit about the current legal definitions of death. They were formed because of certain complications that existed before, where somebody could be considered legally dead in one state and then you cross state lines and then they're considered legally alive. So this had to be dealt with, and it led to the Uniform Determination of Death Act in 1981, which states that a individual who has sustained either irreversible cessation of circulatory and respiratory functions is considered dead, or somebody can be considered legally dead if they have sustained irreversible cessation of function of the entire brain, including the brainstem. And there are some questions to be raised from particularly the second definition. So first, Nair-Collins addresses the fact that there is no scientific evidence for equating brain death with biological death. Brain dead people who are being artificially sustained are biologically alive. There have been many examples of post-mortem pregnancies in which a brain dead body is kept artificially alive in order to carry pregnancy to term, or children that have been artificially sustained that have undergone growth and puberty. And there's also brain dead patients that are still able to heal their wounds and to metabolize. So essentially, when a person is brain dead, they lack consciousness and some abstract concept of personal identity or the self may have died in a sense, but the body is biologically alive. Next, I wanted to talk about what is considered being alive or dead according to Nair-Collins, and he says that being alive is the ability to maintain homeostasis. What does that mean? That is resisting entropy. Entropy being a fundamental property of the universe in which things tend toward being in equilibrium with their environment. So I'm alive, I'm able to maintain homeostasis. That is why my body is at 98 degrees and not at 40 degrees, which is probably the temperature of this room right now. And he also talks about homeostenosis, which is the decreasing ability of a organism to maintain homeostasis as it ages. And he defines death as the moment at which entropy overwhelms an organism's ability to maintain homeostasis. The Presidential Commission's defense of the brain death as death has been that artificially sustained bodies lack the spontaneous drive and felt need to interact consciously with the world in a life-sustaining way. But the terms drive and felt need are not scientific terms in any sense, and they are really metaphysical concepts that are a stand-in for the idea of a soul. And so this, in essence, is defining death as the departure of the human essence or soul from the body, which is a very specific view of death, which most people probably wouldn't agree with. And to codify this into law is to force this onto everybody. And so this is why Nair-Collins advocates pluralism, which is accepting multiple views of death, and he calls it letting everyone live their best life and their best death. And I think that there are a lot of problems with putting into law something that is individual and cultural and forcing it on everybody. Overall, I think Nair-Collins does a really good job of making a sound argument that is scientifically accurate while also being culturally sensitive. I don't think that brain death should be considered death in all cases. I think it should be up to the individual if they have a living will of any kind, or if they have some kind of power of attorney or living family or friends that could decide what they want to do. I think pluralism is definitely the right way to go about it, and I think we should continue to question definitions of death.